Heavy is the head that has to manage all of this.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel.
We're now incentivized to buy what we already buy.
Fumbling through college had me building.
I also got some done on the other side.
And that was right around, I would say, May, maybe, right before renewing the lease for this property.
Welcome to the channel, Martha.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, I was going to say, I am getting up there in age, I'll tell you what.
Bills paid by other people, life was never this good. I had to step back.
Hey everyone, so I decided to shoot real quick without my microphone, so I do apologize if it's a little noisy. But I'm at my realtor's home right here in Plain City, Ohio. It's so big that I have to back up just so you can get a quick glance at that. We're going to take a picture so you can see in more detail what that looks like. And we're doing an interview today, so stay tuned and enjoy.
And on this episode of MTV Crib, come on in.
Thank you, Thomas.
All right, man.
It's beautiful.
Walk in and we've got the great room. So floor to ceiling in here is about 26 feet. And then we've got the chimney chase going all the way up. Got cultured stone, pretty big hearth here. And we got a lounge area here. And it's an open concept, right? So it opens up to the kitchen. We got kids, as you can tell. We got a walk-in pantry here. And then this is something we did that's a little bit different. Instead of doing like a formal dining room, right? We did a built-in booth, kind of restaurant style. And then we got this custom table that actually is a live edge table that we really like, that fit the decor and the design we were going for. This is the booth. And we got a half bath here. And then we've got the mud room. We've got the built-ins right behind you. Just to throw all of our things when we come in. And here's the fun part. So we've got a wraparound deck. Check this out, the laundry room.
My favorite.
Head this way. Alex is 13 years old. We just got the yard seeded yesterday and today.
Beautiful.
And then it wraps all the way around to the main portion of the home. Right here. A decent view. And actually, that is a grove that goes about 100 feet deep, and then it drops down to the big Darby Creek.
Wow. It's beautiful. Made it back to the living room.
I'll say this way. Forgive the mess. It's hard to keep it clean with kids. And then we've got so this is pretty cool. The shower, we kind of went all out on the shower here. So we've got 5 different heads, 6-foot shower. And then we did do a built-in for the master. And everyone thinks this is hilarious because my wife gets one shelf and then I have the rest.
Yeah.
I don't know how I won that battle.
To have a wife with that few shoes is impressive to begin with. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm interviewing the top realtor in all of Ohio, my real estate agent as well, the best guy that I know, Thomas Raabe. How are you doing?
Good to see you, man. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me. So today we're going to talk about a lot of things. You have a business. You've been in real estate now for how many years?
I have been in real estate sales for the last 9 years, but in real estate as an industry for the last 14.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Can you talk about maybe purchasing your first home?
I actually was my first client. So when I got my real estate license, it was in 2016. And before I started prospecting any business, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this myself first before I start coaching others to do it. So in 2016, I got my license, and then I built my first home with a company in town, Pulte Homes. Actually, they're nationwide, Pulte Homes. So a community in the Dublin Hilliard area called Hayden Crossing North. In 2016, I built my first home. Wow. That process was about 6 months from when I signed a contract. It was fun because we call these semi-custom homes because you can't necessarily design every feature of the home, like the size of baseboards or the size of crown molding, but you can select some things like paint colors and layout, and they give you like 4 or 5 different options to customize about that particular home. So we call that semi-custom, and that's an offering that Pulte Homes does, and that's what I did for my first real estate sale and also my first real estate build.
Oh, wow, that's very interesting. So were you also still working a regular day job at the time in order to finance that situation?
Yeah, so I was working for Ohio University. So I graduated in 2013 with a master's in public administration and a focus in economic development. Got hired on by the university in 2013 to be in commercial development. So before I got my real estate license, I worked in commercial real estate development. Ohio University had acquired 140 acres of land in Dublin, Ohio, and they wanted essentially boots on the ground, someone that wasn't in Athens, but actually would be living and working in the Columbus area. And so that was my first job out of college. I was a project manager in design and construction for Ohio University on our Dublin campus. And my first building project was 70,000 square feet.
Wow.
So right across from Plain, it's the location where Plain City and Dublin actually collide. My first building project was approximately 70,000 square feet, 3 floors, and that was a fun process. So I'm 24 years old, and my first task given to me was to write what's called an RFQ, a request for qualifications, from all the developers to apply in the city of Columbus. So companies like Daimler and Elford and Crawford Hoyne, all these big time developers wanted to engage the university to help facilitate the construction of that project. And my job was essentially to interview these presidents of development companies when I was 24 years old. And I will tell you, I was nervous as hell interviewing these guys. And not only did they come into the interview, but they brought their team that they would assemble to construct these facilities. So MEP, so mechanicals, electrical, and plumbing presidents that they would partner with to help construct buildings. So I interviewed initially 12 different companies, and my boss was like, I don't even want to interview them until you're down to 3. So it's your job to narrow the field of developers down to 3. I did that and interviewed them. It was very intimidating. I was very nervous initially, but I'll tell you what a great learning experience. There was a lot of, let me get back with you on that, and took notes and took those questions back to my boss to get those answers. But threw me into the fire, and I think I survived. So back to your initial question. Got involved with commercial real estate development first. Then I got my real estate license while working at Ohio University and started helping people buy and sell real estate as a side hustle, essentially, in 2016.
Wow. All right. So moving along, did you have an idea of how much money you wanted to make in real estate, maybe as a real estate agent?
Initially, when I got my license and was doing it as a side hustle, I was only making like $40,000, $45,000 a year from Ohio University. And I thought that was a lot of money when you're 24 years old. And so when I started selling real estate on the side, it was like icing on a cake. It's like, all right, I'd have 1 or 2 sales a month. And I'm like, I'm making more in real estate sales than I am in my salary W-2 job at Ohio University. And so I didn't necessarily have a goal of wanting to make 6 figures my first year. It was just not, I was surviving on a W-2 salary and then getting these commissions that would come in. And so I think my first year, I probably made an additional $20,000 of real estate sales commissions on top of my base salary. And each year, I feel like it doubled to the point where I was like, holy shit. I might want to do this full time, right? You know, I was thinking to myself, if I spent 40 hours a week focusing on real estate, something that I was truly passionate about, the sky's the limit on how much you can make in this industry, right? So I ended up quitting my job at Ohio University and took a chance on myself. That's where we're at.
Wow. So you basically put your feet in the water and then you figured out, you know what, I can actually swim. So you just went out there and did it. I absolutely love that.
I will tell you, it was a difficult decision. My parents, I grew up with a family that's like, you know, you should get a salary paying job that matches a 401k, that offers good health benefits. So I had to stop listening to them. I love my parents to death. They made sacrifices to get me where I was at the time, but it's a really tough decision to take a chance on yourself and to put all that behind you. You know, real estate, especially what I do now, it's not W-2. Right. It's 1099. And the paycheck isn't necessarily guaranteed every 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. You know, there are some good months where 9 paychecks in real estate may roll in, but there's also some months where I'm making nothing. So it was very difficult for me to stop listening to the noise and take a chance on myself because I knew that I could succeed in this industry. Mm-hmm. Tough decision.
Yes, it is. I think at one point in time, we'll all have decisions in which it will be against what someone else has in store for us. And that's when you truly start to become that adult that you're meant to be. Like, for example, I have a biology degree, but I didn't go to medical school, right? So that initial idea of even attempting medical school was a thought that my parents had in store for me, right? Breaking away from that, going to Amazon as an area manager, those things were not in the plan. Even where I am today wasn't in the plans, but once they see success, they get off your back.
That's true.
The other thing that I would say is if we had all the knowledge in the world, we would all be, 10 times more. But we can only do with what we have, and that's somewhat why I made this channel, to give knowledge now so that you can make informed decisions later in the future. Now, the market was amazing. I did not know the market was so amazing. I did not know historically interest rates weren't 2%, 3%. And so all those houses that I just did not buy, especially that first duplex that you visited me on, hurts my soul to this day.
I remember.
Right next to that baseball stadium.
I remember. Near Westgate.
Yes. And I'm just like, I should have definitely bought that one, along with everything else that I've acquired now. But once interest rates started to rise and people started the narrative that this is what rates used to be, that was when it came full circle. I wasn't around in 2008. I wasn't around in 2012. I was around in 2020, right? And from then on, so about 4 years to gain all of its history. What did you learn in that time? What would you have done differently if you can get that time back?
So, a couple things. One, I think it's important to understand the history of interest rates, right? So you touched on that a little bit. I remember my parents told me that they locked in the 1980s and 1990s, 14, 15, 16%, interest rates. So I do think it's important to understand the environment we're in. Currently, right now, in May of 2024, we're sitting right around 7. I think we just dipped below 7 in the high 6s. And then, yes, you're talking about COVID, when interest rates plummeted and people were locking in 2% interest rates. I think they got as low as 2.5 on a 30-year fixed and even dipped below 2 for a 15-year fixed mortgage. So the market then was absolutely insanity. So it just, the cost of money was affordable and cheap, right? And so what did that do? It brought more buyers into the market, right? However, what that did was it created bid situations on most pieces of real estate that were desirable. So for example, at the height of when interest rates were at its lowest, I remember in specific neighborhoods, it wasn't like this across the board, so we should be clear about that, it's neighborhood specific, whether or not they're desirable, whether or not it's hot, or whether or not it's cold. But in a market like Hilliard, Ohio, or Dublin, Ohio, which is a affluent suburb, that price point for like 300 to 450 back in 2020, 2021, you'd go and show the property and it was like a revolving door. The amount of buyers and buyers agents going in and out, there would be close to 100 showings per property that was listed in the multiple listing service. And what does that do? That creates demand. What does that do? It creates more offers. More offers creates higher purchasing price and favorable terms and conditions for the seller. And so there would be times, I'm not kidding you, I would compete against 25 other offers for a specific property. 25. Right. And there were times that we would lose, and we used that as a learning opportunity. And I would coach my client on, hey, if the bid situation isn't for you, let's look elsewhere. And there's a way to do that. Or there were times where we were successful. And that's why working with a partner, someone that knows what they're doing and how to navigate those environments is important, because reputation is important. You'd be surprised that I would say half of the buyer's agents don't even pick up the phone to call the listing agent to say, hey, how many showings have you had on the property? Hey, how many offers do you have on the property? Where are those offers at for this specific property? And if the seller's agent has permission from the seller to disclose that information, they'll tell you. So there's this taboo out there of like, we can't tell you. Right. It's not necessarily a secret. It doesn't have to be a secret. So if the listing agent has permission from the seller to disclose that information, just ask, where are offers at? Well, this property's listed for $330. We've got an offer right now for, did I say 300 or 330? 330. 330. So we've got an offer at 360. I take that information back to my client. Hey, they've got an offer on the table at 360. Is it even worth writing? Like, do you feel like this property is a good fit for you at 360? If not, let's sit this one out and look elsewhere. But there'd be times where my clients would be like, yeah, let's go get it. And so there's other things besides purchase price that are important to be competitive in those types of environments with regards to appraisals, right? Whether or not is your buyer a cash buyer, or they need financing. If they need financing, they need an appraisal. And if you need an appraisal, are you including appraisal gap coverage? I always encourage my clients to get inspections. It's very important. It's probably the largest financial decision of your life, get an inspection. But there's ways to write that inspection contingency in a way that the seller still looks upon it favorably. Like, hey, my buyer is going to get inspections, but it's only for informational purposes only. They reserve the right to terminate the agreement if something comes up, like the foundational walls are bowing, or there's termites, or there's mold, or something like this. But they will not seek remedy, meaning that they won't ask you to do anything if it's adequate for them, satisfactory for them to move forward in the process. So anyways, find yourself a good realtor that knows what they're doing, that's got a good reputation, that will pick up the phone, call, communicate, and knows how to be competitive on properties that are desirable. And so bringing that full circle, that happened all the time when interest rates were at 2.5%. Now that interest rates have climbed to 7, I would say there was a shock value at first, right? When they started climbing, what was it, like 2.5 years ago, they started climbing. Buyers did sit on the sidelines. So there weren't as many showings per property. There weren't as many offers on properties that folks were competing with. So for a while, there was a shock value. People were like, how high are they going to go? I'm not necessarily comfortable with that type of rate. And now we've kind of stabilized after 2 years of in that 5, 6, 7%. People are becoming more comfortable with those interest rates, and they're moving forward still. So a lot of those buyers now are like, no bubble popped. Inventory is still very low. Right. And if I want to buy, I need to do it now, because Columbus, Ohio is growing, and you know this, right? So here's some statistics for you. Columbus, Ohio is growing year over year by 25,000 people, and it's projected to be that way for the next 25 years. Wow. What that means is there's not enough homes to support those people that are coming. And so Columbus, Ohio is a good market to be in. I'm fortunate. I got lucky. I landed here with the previous job we talked about, but man, I hit the lottery being here. We're the second hottest real estate market in the entire nation. Cincinnati, and actually I think we're third. Second is Cincinnati, and then first is Buffalo, New York. Wow. And so get in now, buy real estate, hold real estate, because it's going to appreciate. And if the projections are correct in that our population is going to continue to grow, you're going to continue to see that appreciation. I can't guarantee it, but that's the way it's looking.
Right. No, I absolutely understand.
How'd I do?
You did great. I'm just thinking back to when we visited these properties. I talk about it all the time in my financial journey, my roadmap to $250,000, my roadmap to $1 million. I never failed to mention that I could absolutely not have done it without you. I could not have done it without my uncle Victor. And just the emotions that went into those property purchases. This face that you're seeing now, people, it never changes. It's always the same. So when I was angry, it was just like this. When I was excited, it was just like this.
I might have been a little more excited.
But I just remember, the reason we didn't buy that first duplex is because when we went around the corner, I saw children fighting, and I saw a woman trying to holler at my uncle. For all of you who don't know what hollering is, that's basically catcalling out to someone. And I just said, wow, this is not affluent, for a better choice of words. And because of that, I didn't think that I could get the value that I needed for that property.
Because they hollered at your Uncle Victor?
That's why? Because I also saw the children fighting as well, and I just didn't think that was a great example, a great presentation when I am just glancing at an environment.
So real quick, we can talk about that for a little bit. Neighborhoods and areas you buy are very important, right? There are some neighborhoods that are hot, and there are others that are cold, right? The average day on market in the suburbs right now of Columbus is a weekend. Homes, as long as it's priced fairly, you'll get the demand right now, and you'll get a strong offer, and they're typically sold or contingent within the first weekend. Downtown properties do sit a little bit longer. That's the way it is. They just take longer to sell, and if there are deals to be had, there are certain pockets, certain neighborhoods where you can search those out. And I don't know necessarily if your audience is Columbus based, but I'm sure with any market, it's like that, right? There's hot areas, and there's risks with trying to get in an area that isn't completely ready to pop with regards to real estate appreciation, right? It might be a long-term play of a 5, 10, 15-year play for that neighborhood to revitalize and develop to get your return on investment. But if you're first in the door, right, you could have long-term success financially. And again, just being cognizant and understanding and working with someone that knows those neighborhoods and can point you in the right direction of like, hey, this area in the next 5 years is going to be completely different. Right. Get in now. Right.
is important.
And with that baseball stadium, I would assume that is definitely going to just make it more of a higher class area in general. More people are going to want to live closer to what they love, and if they can afford to do so, they'll get in. It'll be more in demand just because there is an attraction readily available to them. So, with a higher interest rate environment, there's going to be less of a buyer's market out there, right? It's still a seller's market, I do believe, because prices are still remaining pretty high, and there's not necessarily a lot of attractive incentives for buyers. How do you market, and do you market differently now than you did in the past?
So two things there. We can talk about marketing, we can talk about branding, but the other question that comes up that you just asked is identifying like good investments. Is that what you're trying to tease out? Like where you can find?
Not necessarily, because if you are only looking for investors, then sure, having that information is important. But for your average buyer, I would still assume, especially in this market, is going to be more people looking for a home to raise a family, because it is higher, because the rates are higher, because the prices are higher. I would assume maybe it might take 2 incomes for most people who are looking to buy right now.
I think that's fair.
So with that being said, I would assume that your strategy is to market towards them, but obviously you're not trying to cut anyone out. But previously you may not have had to just market towards a specific demographic of people.
Got
you
you.
were targeting an audience.
Got you. I know where you're going with this. Okay. So starting out, it was much different than where I am now, right? So in 2016, when I first got my license, I was in my mid to late 20s, which was perfect because people my age were looking to buy for their first home. So organically, I was able to pick up business that way. So my sphere of influence, we talk about sphere of influence, your family and your friends, the networking organizations that you're involved with, all are extremely important when you're starting a business, and when you, in order to be successful, you need to have that. It's much different now, because now a lot of my business is referrals. I don't have to hustle as much as I did initially, right? Initially, you're young, you're a rookie, you're inexperienced, and so it's much more challenging to prospect business and pick up clients when you're first starting out. But I worked hard, and it built over time, right? I think like the first year I only did like 5 to 6 deals. The second year I did like 10 to 12. The third year I did 20. The fourth year I did 25, and then last year I did close to 40, right? So it builds upon itself. So initially you're hustling, you're knocking on doors, you're hosting open houses. That's where we met. Well, it was at an open house that I was hosting for one of my listings, right? And every person that walks in that door, it's an opportunity to develop a relationship with, which is what we have done. So you're knocking on doors, you're sending out postcards, you're writing letters, you're hosting open houses. And I did that. I did that for 4 or 5 years to build my pipeline. And now what's fun is now it's referral business, because I hustled my ass off. People saw value in that and are proud to share my name with other people. So referral business, and also repeat customers. So like yourself, you're like, I'm ready for property number 2. Let's go. I'm ready for property number 3. Let's go. But that's one kind of buyer. And the other kind of buyer is, hey, we worked together 5 years ago. We're ready to sell that place and upgrade and elevate our lifestyle and our living with something different, something a little bit more larger that will fit our needs. Maybe they've had kids and want a larger home, or want to be in a specific school district. So now I get 2 pieces of the pie. I'm helping them sell a house that I helped them buy, and now I'm helping them buy a new property. And so I hustled, worked really hard to build my pipeline, build my business, and now I'm kind of benefiting from that, of getting repeat clients and referrals that come to me now. But there are folks in this industry that pay for leads. I don't know if you knew that.
Yes.
But Zillow, a lot of people don't know this. On Zillow, when you're searching for properties, there's an information sheet on the right-hand side. And if you have interest in that property, you fill out that information. That information doesn't go to the listing agent. That information goes into a database for Zillow, and they sell those as leads to real estate buyer agents. And people pay, you wouldn't believe, thousands of dollars a month to get calls from Zillow to potentially be the real estate agent of someone that they don't know. I've never done that. I've never paid for a lead in my life. I've just put my head down, worked hard, and now I'm starting to receive the benefits of that play out over 9 years.
Yeah. The first time I ever was in business with a real estate agent, and I can't really say in business because I didn't move forward, but she took me to this rundown property. It didn't have a closet, so I knew it wasn't a room, so it was falsely advertised. Everything that I said that was wrong with the property, she agreed with, which wasn't the issue. The issue was that there wasn't any follow-up on, okay, yes, we can see that this property is bad. And I mean, it was absolutely terrible. The last property we saw, absolutely terrible, right? Thought a homeless person was living in the garage at some point, but this one was just a little bit worse, right? There was a little bit of false advertising there. And
I would say, I only do that for you now, by the way. I don't help people look at homes that you're not sure whether or not a homeless person is in the garage, or you have to bring a screwdriver and a drill bit to offload the plywood that's on the front door to get into the property. I've got 2 kids now, and that time has come and gone, but for Festus, I do it for you.
Thank you so much. So I just felt like this woman, although she was aware of the issues, she didn't necessarily have any solutions for me. Hey, I understand that this is bad, but let's take a look at this property or another property. I have the free time. Why not do that? So although you haven't done that, you did something unique that other people didn't do as well. And what that was it's almost as if you were going to an open house. Thomas would always have a sheet of paper with the house picture, a description of everything that house has to offer, and was able to show it to me for every listing. So I need to pay him for all that printed ink that he used. But that was very helpful. I never really said it out loud, but I knew that other real estate agents didn't do it because I had seen 2 prior to him. First, that woman, and then secondly, just a young guy who was in college, and he was just talking about getting that appraisal first, getting that appraisal. Every question I asked, appraisal. And I was just like, I can tell him what my credit score is. Right now it's 805, so it's the best it's ever been. But, like, if we can't even have a conversation and it's just about the appraisal, then why would I work with you? You're giving me no information on the home. You probably don't want to speak to the seller's agent. And it was just bad. Now, that duplex I would have definitely bought. And I'm so sad I didn't know you at that time. So moving along. So we went over how you find clients now. What was the furthest that you've ever traveled for a deal?
Yeah, so I'm a member of the Columbus Board of Realtors, the Dayton Board of Realtors, as well as the Cincinnati Association of Realtors. So I have helped people in all those markets on a regular basis. I would say 90% of my business is Columbus, but I do several deals a year in Cincinnati and in Dayton. I'm from Cincinnati originally, so family, friends down in Cincinnati occasionally will call me and ask for help either on the buy side or the sell side. However, I can help people all over the country. So we have a referral network. For example, my in-laws are down in Texas. I found them a listing agent that's a rock star. And so they decided to interview that agent and move forward with that agent. And so I was able to provide that referral, which is great for me because I get a kickback on that commission since I referred the agent to them. So Texas, I helped a friend, again, on a referral basis, move to Wisconsin. So I've done deals all across the country on a referral basis, but I focus in the Columbus market, but also help folks in the Cincinnati and Dayton markets as well.
Nice. I've been to Cincinnati. I still didn't get to Cleveland yet for that deep dish to see if they can actually compete with New York City. But what are some fun things that you like to do? Being in the 1099 business, you don't necessarily choose your free time, right? Sometimes things are dictated for you, but now you're in a space where you can probably dictate more of that leisure time. You might have a cutoff time just for family, but what are some fun
Cuddle
things
time? I like that.
Cutoff time.
Oh, cut off time. I thought you said cuddle time for the family, which there's some of that. So right now where I am in life is I've got a 2.5-year-old and I've got a 6-month-old. So not much sleep. And then my wife. And so what we like doing is traveling to local parks and local playgrounds. So right now, like our thing to do, instead of traveling to different states or different countries, it's hyper-focused on the Columbus area, and we're traveling to different metro parks and different playgrounds. So that's been fun because my 2.5-year-old loves to swing and loves to go down slides. So that's taking up our time when we have it. So we're doing that. And then when I do get the chance, I think about once a year, we travel to Park City, Utah, and typically around Christmas time, and we ski. So I don't know if you've ever been out west, but it's gorgeous. And my wife and I and my father-in-law really enjoy skiing in Deer Valley, which is actually where we got married. So doing that once a year is really nice.
Wow,
but we're due for a beach soon.
That's beautiful. I was just in New York and my girlfriend wanted to go to the beach, and unfortunately we missed that stop. But we'll be back, I'm sure. I'm sure we'll be back. What motivates you most? What motivated you then and what motivates you now?
What do you mean then?
Like when you were 24, you were just getting started in your career, but you were making so much money. At that time, you said $45,000. In your head, that was it. You were doing everything, but you still decided to hop into real estate investing that same year. So what motivated you then, and what motivates you now?
I think when I was younger, I was still trying to find my way. So I was motivated. I knew I was a hard worker. I knew whatever I found a passion in, I was going to be successful in, but I still hadn't found it. And then real estate came along, and then I found that passion, right? And so what motivated me when I was younger is just trying to hustle and figure out my pathway forward of what I'm going to be happy with in life. That's what motivated me, finding happiness. And what career was going to do that? Was it going to be commercial real estate development? Was it going to be sales? And my passion and motivation ended up becoming real estate, helping people. So that's what drove me initially, was trying to figure that out and navigate that. What motivates me now is to crush it for my family, man. We're sitting in the house that we just constructed. We just moved in a couple months ago, and this is a labor of love, and I'm excited to create memories here, have friends over, and just have wonderful experiences here. So that, I would say, is primary. And then secondary is growing our business. So Westwood Real Estate Company, we're a new brokerage. We launched this time last year. Actually, June 14th, we celebrate our 1-year anniversary. And so growing that business. So getting the right agents to join our brokerage, to grow it, to scale it appropriately, to grow my personal team, the Raabe team. And then some exciting news is we're considering expanding into different divisions of real estate. Our goal is to potentially be a one-stop shop for your real estate needs. So we're exploring divisions of commercial real estate and also property management. So hopefully this time next year, maybe we do another interview, and I'm telling you, Westwood is not only a residential real estate brokerage, we do commercial, and we have a property management arm, and maybe a second location. Wow. So that's what motivates me too, is seeing my brokerage succeed, seeing my agents succeed. There's nothing better. So family first, for sure, and then business And then my teammates, seeing them grow and be successful was also extremely important. That's what motivates me.
Wow. Did you have any management experience prior to getting a team of your own?
I'm trying to think way back. Before real estate, yes, I had a job where I worked for a company called Dupler Office and helped sell office furniture to businesses. And we had a team of two others, myself and two others, to support the sales division of that company. So on a very small scale, nothing like it is today. But yes, a little bit of management experience. I was trying to think of something funny of like, yeah, I owned a paper route and I made my brother like run papers to the door or something like that.
That is funny. One quick question that I had for you is how did you find your team? So I believe I've only met one of your team members so far. How did you meet your team members and how did you basically bring them on board?
Good question. Everything has been organic in that they've reached out to me first. So I have not done any recruiting up to this point. I think that changes very soon. But people would DM me. They'll see my videos on social media, which Raabe Real Estate on Instagram. They'll see my videos online. They'll engage with them, and then they'll DM me like, "Hey, I'm thinking about real estate." And then I'll pick up the phone and call them and say, "Tell me more. Why do you say that?" And I don't do this for everyone, but the people that I see that could potentially be successful in this industry, I call, I coach, I mentor. It's been a lot of rookies up to this point. I haven't had an agent join my team yet that's a veteran. So I've got 4 on my team now, and I got them all as newer agents that I'm helping build their businesses from the ground up. So to answer your question, organically through DMs on social media.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. That's amazing. So all this organic growth, all of these referrals, that has to just connect to your personality as a person, as a human being. People want to talk to you. People want to engage with you. Where did you learn to communicate with people and build these relationships?
Wow. What a question. That's a very good question. I've always been like this my entire life. Growing up, I was not quiet. I was always outgoing. I was always trying to meet new people, create friendships. I was that guy in high school that didn't sit at one table. I would bounce from friend group to friend group, right? Like, I didn't have like a core group of best friends. I had a bunch of friends, right? And so I just love people, and that's always been ingrained in me ever since I was young, and I think has continued to me being 35 years old today. That passion for people, wanting to get to know them, learn about them, know more about them, and in some instances help them, right? So I appreciate you saying that. It's just something that comes natural and is just a part of who I am, which my wife doesn't necessarily like all the time. She thinks I'm too loud, talk too much.
It gets you out of the house. So.
But I appreciate that. I just love living life, love having fun, genuinely enjoy what I do. And if you do those things and you surround yourself with people you care about, you are going to be successful in life.
Right. Wow. And on that note, I think that's all you need to know in order to be successful. So this was one of the best interviews that I've had so far with one of my favorite people to speak with. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have. If you have any questions, please leave it down in the comment section down below. Subscribe to the channel. Over 90% of you have not yet subscribed to the channel. And I appreciate all of the support. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.